the next episode.
Yo, I'm Devin Reed, and I'm on a mission to build a bigger and more inspired career as a marketer, creator, and entrepreneur. I've spent 10 years in sales and marketing, become head of content for $2 billion tech companies, and scaled my side hustle, The Reader, to 6 figures. And now I'm ready to level up my creativity and earning power to hit the next level. Let's ride. But I need more than tips, tricks, and dopamine hits. I want inspiration and expertise that's gonna help me reach my potential. And damn it, I wanna have fun doing it. So I'm traveling America for candid, street-level conversations about creativity, marketing, and playing by your own rules. You'll hear the stories behind the success, unfiltered conversations, vulnerable moments, and practical advice to help you grow your career, confidence, and income. Are you ready? This is Read Between the Lines, the show for people who want to achieve phenomenal results.
Today, I'm talking to Ashley Reddy. Now, I've known Ashley for a few years, and she was never interested in the stable 9-to-5. And so I wanted to sit down and talk to her and really understand, what was that leap like? What was the process to decide, hey, I'm not gonna go do a desk job or anything like it. I'm gonna follow my passions, do photography, and make a living out of it. And what I really am looking forward to is those real stories of the struggle, having her back against the wall, and what it really took to build that business to what it is today. I also want to understand how she became an influencer. I want to learn how I can monetize my social media so I can increase my revenue streams. Remember those Instagram influencers from back in the day? She was one of the first ones. So if you're interested in becoming an entrepreneur, monetizing your social media, or simply want to know what it really takes to be successful, you're going to enjoy this conversation. Are you ready? Let's ride.
As we get started here, we're doing a little thing, which is I want you to be as comfortable as quickly as possible.
I'm comfortable now.
So I didn't, when you think of like what gives you comfort, I was like comfort food. But we're not eating on this show. We're not eating on the show. So what I did is I back channeled you a little bit, and it wasn't too hard because I know you're Indian. But we got a nice little cup of chai for you here, just to make sure you're caffeinated. Here you go. That's for you.
This is so funny. Thank you so much.
I want to warn you, it's a little spicy, they said. And I said, that's good, because who it's for is a little spicy.
I mean, yeah, I'm spicy. I wanted to say, do you notice my earrings?
Oh my gosh. Is that
These are chai kettles?
Okay, I feel good. Because it was that or Topo Chico was what I was told.
Oh, shit. We love Topo Chico. But the only thing is Topo Chico is super, I call it spicy. Because it's like,
it's fizzy and you can only drink like
fizzy,
a quarter ounce
but it's like
at a
the
time.
large bubbles versus the small bubbles. There's a whole thing in the sparkling water world.
The sparkling water community.
Yes.
Where does Topo Chico in terms of just, I don't know, respect? Like, is it street water? Is it fancy?
Street water.
What are we talking about?
I think Topo Chico is elite in its own way, but I call it spicy because, like, when you drink it, it's just like, whoa, like it's like a slap in the mouth.
I hate all fizzy water. I think
I'll save this conversation for Vishal.
No, I'm still interested. God of the universe made water perfectly fine the way it is. I don't know why someone was like, hey, let's make water worse. Like, that's my opinion.
Make water worse.
Made water worse.
It's been real.
It's been fun.
No,
so,
I don't want to spill this.
But yeah, it was Hassani. We texted. Well, I texted Charlie, who texted him, and Charlie goes,
"Oh my God, wait, that's why."
So did he ask you, what do you like?
So he texted me randomly and was like, "What do you think is the best drink in the world?" And I was like, "Are we talking about alcoholic, non-alcoholic, like hot drinks, cold drinks?" And then he's like, "I'm doing a survey," and I was like, "He is kind of random. He probably is doing a survey."
That's a good lie.
And then I was like, I really thought about it for a couple of days, and I was like, should I say a mocktail? Should I say like something? And then I said chai.
Which is like, when you know someone's Indian, to be like, do they like chai? It's kind of like,
what? That's such a stereotype.
That's what I'm saying. So when he sent chai first, I was like, we kind of got to keep digging. So I told Charlie, like, can you give me another option? And then he said Topo Chico. I'm like, that's water. Like,
yeah, okay.
So I was like, do I give her bad water, which I think is bad water, or do I give her a good cup of chai? And I would rather have chai. So I thought you might rather have chai.
That is so funny. Okay, it's funny that you dug into that because this was during the pandemic, and we were living in the loft, and my friend was working for Topo Chico doing the marketing. So we would get monthly drop-offs.
So you've been connected
of Topo Chico. Not anymore, but
out the bottle or in a glass and with ice.
I'm not a fan of like freezing cold Topo Chico because it makes like the spiciness even more intense.
I'm just laughing at the spices. There's nothing but air in it. But yes.
No,
is it the fizz?
Like
are you talking about like when you drink it too fast,
I'm
it hurts?
saying the effervescence, yeah, it will hurt your mouth. The effervescence.
You should be a sommelier for water. I think that's what I'm hearing. Like that should be the next thing that you work on.
Yeah, I would say slightly chilled. I like it out the bottle,
Like
not with the straw, because also you like it's too much.
I feel
You
like if
gotta
you
do it
drink
out
something
the
out of a
bottle.
glass bottle, that's like kind of the best way you can have it.
Yeah,
Like Coke
It's
out
like
of the
Coke
bottle.
out of the bottle.
Coke out of the bottle, exactly. So if you put a straw in the
It's like
middle,
the
you're just like
sugary
downgrading
Coke.
it on the way in.
yeah, I don't like that.
Okay.
It's out the bottle, or a cup is fine sometimes.
Well, I'm glad we got that situated. How did I do? Should I have gotten Topo Chico?
That's good chai.
It's good chai.
Yeah.
Shout out to Verve. They don't sponsor us, but maybe they will after this.
Verve,
Verve
good
is
chai.
Verve. All right. So I have to admit, you are an absolute mystery to me.
Yeah, you told me. I thought that was really funny when you said that.
Has anyone told you that before? How mysterious of a creature you are.
Yes, but it's weird when people say that because I feel like I live my life very publicly on social media. So I don't know what the like.
So that's
I mean, also social media is curated, but so
it is
I don't know.
curated. So I know you personally. I would say, not inner circle. I don't know you,
Yeah.
very well, but we know of each other.
Yeah,
And so
We know of each
what do I
other.
do is we run in the same circles.
yeah.
And-
I was casually at your wedding.
You were at my wedding. And so what I mean though is like, so I look you up on social media because I'm prepping a little bit, right?
that's
And
fine.
so I'm like, I just don't understand you. And I mean this in a good way because I
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at you, I know who you are in person
Mhm.
and who you are on social media, I think is the same, by the way. That's not where I'm going.
Okay.
But what I noticed
Good.
was like, you live life to the fullest. Like if I looked at you, when I know you, you are always on the move. You
Yeah.
show up late because, and I'm gonna give you shit for that. You always late.
It's fine. I know.
But you
do.
always doing stuff. It's not like I'm on the couch and I'm late and I don't care. You're like always on the move. Okay. So you're living life.
Yeah.
And then on social media, it looks like you're getting paid to live that life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if this was like intentional or did this kind of just one thing led to another and now Ashley became stay ready and you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's like the mystery to me.
When I started on Instagram, it was maybe before influencers were a thing. Like this
I
was
agree.
early days of Instagram. But then I started seeing people monetize their Instagram and I was curious, how are they doing that? How are people making money from this?
Yeah.
And so I was building my audience mostly in the travel space. And I feel like back then people were gatekeeping a lot about how they were making money. And so I had to do my own research. I had to deep dive into it because I too wanted to make money from social media.
Who doesn't?
And because I think it's important to have multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did a lot of research and then I feel like I met people locally that I connected with and we talked about these things and that's how I kind of delved into the space. So when I started Instagram, it was just what we all did, like terrible filters, random photos of our lunch that were blurry, and then it evolved into this whole, I don't know, universe that it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have a universe in that universe. I think that's where the mystery comes from. Like when we're all at dinner, and I kind of joke like we know of each other. Obviously, we know each other.
Yeah.
But like, we'll be at a dinner.
Yeah.
When you show up, it's like its own world is there. Like there's this thing and it's you and it's like, and it's unapologetic. Like for real. And then you're like, and I give you crap being late, whether you're late or not. But it's like,
It's fine.
you get there and it's like, oh, Ashley's here. And like, there's just something happening. So like, do you notice this or is this me just like being like, I think you're an enigma and nobody else?
I do notice it. I do notice
Okay.
it in some environments. I don't know if it's because like I don't go to every single thing and so people don't
Sure.
see me as much. I don't know.
You're the friend in the group chat that like when you pop in, it's like, oh, Ashley like chimed in. She's here.
She's alive.
So-
She's present.
Okay, so I think the other part of it too, and you mentioned it, was you were an influencer. You're probably the first influencer that I knew firsthand.
Aw.
And you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Who else
Probably-
that I know?
I was going to say around the time that I met you, I think is probably when I started.
Like 10 years ago almost.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 years ago, something like that.
I think I did my first campaign in 2015.
Tell me about that.
Oh,
What
it
was
was
your
just
first
it was with paid campaign was with I think Uniqlo.
Okay.
And
That's
it
like a
was
known brand. That's a good
It was
first
like
time.
a $50 gift card and I was like it's like it's a big deal. And so I bought these pants and I was going on a trip to It was when we caught this glitch fare on Etihad, and it was
You have to repeat those words. What are those things?
a glitch fare on an airline. It was Christmas Day.
Oh, okay.
2014, I think. And so we bought tickets for 2015. And so I took this trip with one of my best friends and her brother, and we went to 3 countries. The round trip ticket to Abu Dhabi was like $150.
What? That's wild.
I know.
I've never been, but I would assume that's probably at least $1,000
Right.
today.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I brought these pants because I was like, I'm gonna be in Abu Dhabi with these pants.
Shout out to are they khaki? What color?
They're gray, like gray jeans. They weren't even like fancy, but I was like, this is a campaign. I'm in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a big deal.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so you got your first influencer deal. The other when did photography start? Because I think the other reason too, and I kind of like overplaying the mystery thing, but it's true, was like when I met you, I was starting my career. I was 26, 27. Mm-hmm. Shout out. And so I'm like trying to get into the corporate world. I came from Sacramento to the SF where I'm like, it's not the big city, it's a tiny city, but you know, it seems like a big city.
Compared to Sacramento, I'm sure it was like a big city.
Shout out Sacramento, tier 4 city, but we love it. And so it was a big city. It was a big city compared to that. And so I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to get my 9 to 5 going. Yeah. And then I meet you and you're like, I'm like, I don't know. She's like, does photography. She's like kind of an influencer at the time. Didn't really know what that meant. Yeah. But it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
So did you ever have like the 9 to 5 grind, or were you always like, that's not for me? Yeah. I'm going to do photography. Like, I want to know that decision making.
I was actually thinking about this last night when you said you were going to ask certain questions. I was like,
I didn't give you a lot of prep, just enough.
You didn't give me a lot of prep, but this question does come up. And this is something that is a humble brag, but I don't mean for it to be a humble brag, but I've never had a 9 to 5.
Hey, I like that. I had a feeling, but I was like, if you did, it was like 4 weeks. Like I was like,
I'm done.
You're like, I've clocked in twice and I hate it. Yeah.
I've had 11 to 7s.
11 to 7. 7-11? Is that?
No, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Like, so yeah, I've never had like a 9 to 5.
Sure.
I've never had a corporate job.
Okay.
The closest thing I had was when I was working at Mac, which was 11 to 7.
There you go.
But I was a freelancer, like on call. So I didn't have a set schedule. It was like whenever I was available.
Do you like doing, sorry, I know this is stupid, but I've been there with my wife.
Yeah.
Register.
We started together.
Is that where you guys met?
No, we went to college together. But this was after college. But we decided to apply to freelance at Mac Cosmetics.
So you're freelancing at Mac. Mm-hmm. Then you do photography, or when did photography start? Because I feel like that's your main thing now, or is that not even
my main thing now? Yeah. So after college, I worked at AmeriCorps for a year. That was also 11 to 7, but that's like it was a very casual job where like I could work like 12 to 8 or whatever. Like I had specific number of hours I had to be there, but not a specific time. And during that time, I wanted to do photography professionally. Mm-hmm. So in college, Facebook started. I
remember.
And
I remember where I was when I logged into Facebook for the first time in college. Yeah.
Same. I was in India, which was so random because I was like, what's going on in America? It was really weird. But so when I was in college, when Facebook launched, you could put your photos on there. So it was like a place to showcase photos. Sure. And then after college, I was like, I want to still do that, but also how can I make money? So I started doing nightlife photography in 2007. So I had my like day job, nonprofit, and then I had my night job, which was doing photography. And that's how I started getting paid for doing party photography. And then I also started freelancing at Mac on the weekends. So I was doing photography at night, and then Mac on the weekends, and then during the week sometimes when I finished my nonprofit job. So I started doing photography and Mac concurrently. So it was like photo at night, makeup during the day, and then I transitioned fully, I think, to photography in probably 2013.
Nice.
Yeah.
You did it.
So there were a few
years. You did for a few years, yeah.
Of doing makeup, of doing a lot of like random stuff. So it was like makeup, assisting other photographers. I assisted a videographer. I was like a personal assistant for a videographer. Yeah. Just random stuff to just make ends meet. And then finally feeling like I was at a place where I could fully transition into photography around 2013.
you said you were doing you were doing side gigs. Is that a fair way to put it? Side gigs?
Side gigs.
Side hustles.
Side hustles.
Most people, I think, would be like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't know where my next job or check is coming from.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'd rather be sometimes a personal assistant. Sometimes I'm shooting nightlife. Sometimes I'm helping somebody.
Yeah.
Instead of just the secure 9 to 5. Which at the time for me, I'm like,
yeah.
Not that I was judging. I thought it was cool. I'm like, she's doing it. It can be done. But for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, never. Like at the time, I was like, that is
Oh, I mean, a lot of people
so
are
risky. So
in the never camp.
So why? What motivated you to be like, I'm not going to go work at Wells Fargo with Shali? That's what my wife was doing at the time.
Shout out to Miss Shali. I just couldn't see myself working for someone else full time. And I would say I had that experience working at Mac because I was on a schedule. And so when you're saying, you know, you're not having the security, I had somewhat security. I would work up to 40 hours a week, which now they can't because there's a lot of labor laws. But I was working 40, maybe sometimes more than 40 hours a week because I would call in and say, hey, I'm available on these days. And I would take everyone's shifts because then I would have some stability. But sometimes there weren't shifts available. So then I was like, oh, gotta figure it out. Then I would try to shoot more at night, like shoot more clubs. It wasn't fully just random. I could kind of maneuver around. But after I started working at Mac, it did become a little scary because then it was just photography. And it was a combination of me reaching out and then people reaching out to me. But, you know, there were periods of not knowing. But ultimately, I would say it's just the flexibility. I've never wanted to be on someone else's schedule. And I know you're probably going to laugh at that. Not just
what camera do I look
at? But not just that, but I think just the ability to make money, to charge whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and not be beholden to someone's salary.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like freedom of choice is like important to you.
Yeah. In all aspects of life.
So the moment that interests me is what I call the leap, which is the moment where someone leaves security and takes a bet on themselves. Yeah. And you said that I left Mac, which I think was the security, right? Yeah. And then you were like, I'm going to go all in on photography. Yeah. So what was that like? Like, what was that? What did that feel like when you're like, I'm not calling Mac anymore. Yeah. It's just me and the camera and we're going to go make it happen.
It was bittersweet because I loved makeup. I still love makeup. But I think there were just changes in the company that I didn't like, you know, corporate stuff. And so that was one of the reasons why I was like, this corporate life, I can tell isn't for me. Yeah. And it just wasn't the same as when I started. And a lot that happens with a lot of companies, and it just wasn't fulfilling in the same way. So I was finding more fulfillment doing photography and kind of building my own business and being competitive. I'm a pretty competitive person with myself. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, how much money can I make on my own? You know, how can I afford to survive in one of the most expensive cities in the world?
That's the other part where the respect comes from. It's like, it's not, you know, not like, I don't know, I've never been to Omaha, but like, I can't imagine it's as hard as it is in San Francisco where it is very expensive. And to not have that security, that's where like, I say mystery, I think the respect came with that too. It was always like, she's up to something always and it like works. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, so that makes sense. So now you've got, I was looking you up. You've got like, you've done events for Lego, Airbnb, I think Google, if I remember correctly, Afrotech.
One of my biggest clients.
So how did you go from, I'm not calling Mac anymore to like that? Because now it seems like you, like as an outsider looking in terms of the researching you on like, you know, clicking your website for the first time, which was the first time I'd clicked it. And like, oh, I would say you've made it. In the photography world, it seems like you've made it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Do you agree? Does it feel like that to you? Probably not.
Oh man. Sometimes it's hard to take a step back and see how far I've come. Yeah. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs say that when you're just constantly in it, it feels like, oh, I'm just going. And I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. I feel like I haven't done anything. So it is important to have these conversations and to be reminded, you know, in 2013 is over a decade ago at this point. Yeah. And so where was I then versus where am I now? Yep. And I am proud of myself. I'm
Good.
proud of what I've done. It hasn't been easy. And there has been moments where I'm like, why am I doing this? You know, where you think, I don't know. I really don't know if I'm going to make rent this month, or I might be trying to have a conversation with my landlord. Like, I need some extra time. Yeah, there was a lot of things I had to maneuver, but I think that I've always been able to pull it together somehow. And that's also kind of the adrenaline rush of it, which
Yeah. Kind of addicting a little bit, right?
I mean, yeah, sometimes. And for some people, I know that the level of stress is not worth it. But for
Sure.
me, it kind of is what keeps me going, because I feel like there's no option to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about a time, if you have any. I prepped you for stories if
Yeah.
you got any. I want to know a back against the wall story. I want to know, you know, if you're thinking I might have to call my landlord because I don't have rent
Yeah.
this month. How did you get out of that hole or potential hole?
I've had to borrow money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shame in that.
Yeah. I've had to borrow money from my mom, from my brother, from friends.
Yeah.
And it was definitely not a proud moment, but I had to put my pride aside and just know that money's coming. And even a lot of times it's you're getting paid on net 30. So I know the money is there. It's just not here now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that people know that I'm good for it. So I've never had a problem with people being like, oh, she's not going to pay me back. But
Right.
there's definitely been moments where I've just been real and just said, I need a loan, you know, from family and friends. So
how did you land Google? You said that's a big.
what?
How'd you land Google? I love like, by the way, I asked because it's like
yeah.
every successful person that I know, however you define success, has had those back against the wall. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. I can't put my kid in school, whatever that thing is.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I will also say credit cards.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And it's not the best option, but thankfully credit cards are there to help you through hard times.
Yeah.
So that also has helped me
Yeah.
whenever I needed. So having your own line of credit, I guess, you know, it's like, let me max it out and I'll pay it off. You know, it's like deciding how you're going to do that. But so your question about Google is like, how did I first get connected with them, or?
Yeah, I want to know how you got Google, candidly. Yeah. Like that's sick.
Tell
That's sick.
me.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
I'm like new to the entrepreneur thing. It's my
Yeah.
side hustle still, and I've been
but
lucky.
you're killing it with the
Thank
side
you.
hustle game.
I appreciate
I wanted
that.
to tell you that
Thank you.
this is, look at this production. This as a side, you guys can't see, but there are cameras everywhere, and this is not a casual production. So
I appreciate that.
Shout outs to you, Devin.
Thank
I'm
you.
really proud of you.
I appreciate that. I'm learning to take compliments, so I'm blushing.
Yeah. No, I know it's hard.
No, I
It's
appreciate
hard.
that though. But
Yeah.
but the thing I was going to is like, you have the vision, right? You're like betting
Yeah.
on myself. And
Yeah.
I always agree. I always have bet on myself, sometimes a little later, sometimes took some time, you know, like, or someone to
course,
tell you,
yeah.
hey, you're in your own way. It's you in the way. It's
Yeah.
not like you have the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then you have these like dreams of, I'm going to be a photographer,
Yeah.
or I'm going to be a writer. That was my thing, was like,
Yeah.
I want to be paid for writing. That was my big thing. Once I got that first check, you
Yeah,
know,
you're like, it's
then
real.
you're like, I'm
I can do
a
this.
writer now.
Yeah.
I had to get paid for 2 years as a writer before someone asked me what I did, and the word
you
writer
said-
came up, and I actually felt comfortable saying it. So that took like,
Yeah.
that's like that kind of,
It's
I don't even know-
imposter syndrome.
it's kind of that, but it's also almost like you know, it's like body dysmorphia. It's almost like personal brand, like, you know what I mean? Like personal
personal brand dysmorphia.
yeah, you know, and I know it sounds so cheesy, but like, you know, it's like,
Oh.
I've been writing a newsletter, I've been doing photography, but like, to tell people that's who you are, to me was very challenging.
I think even when people ask me now or what kind of photography I do, it's kind of a script at this point where sometimes it's hard for me to believe what I say as
Yeah.
well. You know?
Yeah.
But to get back to your question, and this is something that I've thought about just in my career and when I've done other interviews too, is warm connections. Honestly, warm connections are unbeatable. That is what has catapulted me into my career, honestly. Is
Yeah.
my friends, my colleagues from previous lives, family, you know, that is what helped me. So my very first Google job, I had a friend here, in San Francisco. He had just started, and his best friend worked at Google in New York. And he was doing a project with HBCUs, and he wanted to do a photo booth. And I was like, oh, I do that. And so I went to New York, met him in person, and he's like, okay, we have a gig in Atlanta.
They flew you to New York?
No, I was just going to New York on my own. And so I went, to the Google office in New York, and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I met him, and he was telling me about this gig they had in Atlanta with HBCU students, and also one in DC. And so I was like, okay, we had a meeting about it. I told him we can do all this. And so so the way I charged them, like including my flight and everything, but I was like, will you pay this much? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, no way. Like, no way. Like, what? This is crazy.
It worked.
It's happening. So that was my very first Google job. And it wasn't even in the Bay. It was like in New York, and then Atlanta, and then DC. And that's how I got started. And it was, I have a colleague in the Bay. I have a colleague here. And it's just blown up since then. And it's been people within the company. So Google, a lot of companies have preferred vendor lists, but they don't necessarily use them. It's honestly, at this point, word of mouth. It's like, oh, my colleague in this department told me about you. This person told me about you. And now the venues, there's an event venue in Sunnyvale, and they're like, oh, we just know you.
Pick up the phone. Call Stay Ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's your network, but I think it's your reputation too, though. Yeah. Because it's you said earlier, like whether it's borrowing money, I'll pay you back, or it's like if we call her, she'll be here, she'll do a good job. And you're just cool as shit. Like, people like hanging out with you. So it's like, do people know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? Yeah. And I feel like what it sounds like is over time, that's just been snowballing for you, right?
Yeah, it has been. I mean, it's like when your name is spoken in rooms that you're not in, that's a big deal.
I love that you said
that. That's a big deal. No, seriously. Because I used to get inquiries. I get a lot of inbound inquiries, and I'll do the job or whatever. And I started asking people, how did you find out about me?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to find out. And they'll say, one of my clients, so I have this one client in VC that I started working with in 2018. I don't work with them as much anymore, I think, because they don't have as many events. But the amount of referrals that I've had from this one client has been just out of this world. And they'll always tell me, like, oh, we're in this Facebook group, or we're in this chat, and this one person from this one VC told us about you.
Nice.
And that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is.
We don't even work directly with each other anymore. And she still refers me to clients. And it makes me feel good. I think I have to remember those moments and those instances when I am down on myself, and when I'm like, oh, it feels really hard right now.
Yeah.
That people still fuck with me.
Yeah.
And then people want to refer me because they trust me. They like my work. They like my work ethic. And, I can do what I do really well.
I feel like when I was saying earlier, like your world within a world.
Yeah.
I honestly feel I'm like the universe works in tandem with Ashley Reddy. Like,
but you have to align yourself with it too.
That's what I'm saying is like you're very intentional with what you do.
Yeah.
You're very, I hate the word because it's been played out, but it's true, authentic. You are who you are. Your style is your style. And then it's like, and it's reciprocating, and you can see that happening both meeting you and talking to you, but also like I think on the social media side, where I was deep in your timeline, like prepping without getting too weird. I'm like, don't like anything, it'll be weird. But I'm like trying to figure out when it started, right? And it went so far back that it was like, I just have to ask you, because it's like there's so much stuff on there. But that's your point, is like I view it the same way about reputation, which is, what are people saying when you're not around?
Yeah.
And what is the word of mouth? Like, people say, like, do you like me? Do you not like Devin?
Yeah.
Like, people are like, hey, if you work with Devin Reed, they're gonna be like, oh, that guy's an ass, right?
That guy
and you're
sucks.
done.
Yeah.
And you're done. And that snowball stops. Or they're like, yeah, he's hopefully great. Who knows? Whatever people say. But the word of mouth too is like, what is your thing you're known for? For you, it's photography. It's probably pretty straightforward. For other people, it's like, if you're going to build that reputation, what do you want that word to be? What do you want that trigger word to be? And what are people saying about you? It's like old school. Like, it's like your network is your net worth.
It's true, man.
But it's true.
That is
it's
a timeless statement. I don't think
Yeah.
that will ever not be relevant.
I literally got everyone that's going to do the show based on me calling them and going, hey, do you want to be on this show?
Network, and you're part of my network.
So, okay. So photography is working out well for you, it sounds like.
It's going pretty well.
You like it? What's next
like
for you?
it?
I want to get to revenue streams in a second, but before I get to that, I want to know, like, photography? Like, are you like, I'm cruising and I'm just continuing, or is there something like on the horizon that you're shooting for? Like, you're like, hey, I've done.
Yeah.
Did you shoot Burning Man, or were you just at Burning Man?
I first
Both?
went to both. I first went to Burning Man because I was brought on as a photographer
That's what I was
for
like.
a project. Yeah.
I saw you there on the
Yeah.
timeline, and I was like,
for both years. Yeah.
okay. I think I only saw one, but my
I
thought
did,
was like,
yeah.
okay, she went from hourly. I'm just guessing because like everyone starts hourly. Like
Yeah.
you're hustling, freelancing,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, now she's got a website. She's getting some freelance. She's getting some influencer deals. She's got
Yeah.
Google Lego. I'm like, okay, she's like booming. But I want to know what's like. Do you know what's next? Like, do you have
Yeah.
a thing? Like, I don't know. I want to shoot the Super Bowl. I want to shoot the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a few things, I think photography wise, there's some things that I've always wanted to do and that are on, I guess, my photo career bucket list.
Yeah.
I want to shoot, I would like to go on tour with a musician, like a
Okay.
huge musician.
Who right now? If you got a call right now, like Devin, stop the show. Blank is calling me, and he or she or they are asking me,
man.
who would that be? And you already know because your gut response was the right one. So if
Yeah.
someone popped up in your head, that's probably
Well,
what it
because
is.
this has been on my list for years.
Yeah.
And I know it's one of those pipe dreams, but Beyonce.
I was. It's got to be.
I mean, honestly, it's not just her, the visuals, the amount of work she puts into the production. The production value is, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, maybe I'm not
Yeah.
into Taylor Swift, sorry. But
That's
I
okay.
like she's cool,
Hey.
but I'm not a Swiftie.
Same.
But I really respect Taylor's work ethic as well.
have to.
And I think
You don't fall into
her
billions
and-
of dollars of sales
You
like
can't.
by being decent and lucky. Like that's
no, it's like she's an incredible artist and
Yeah.
performer. But I love Beyonce's music, and I think I mean she would be a dream.
I would love to see a show. I haven't seen it yet. The thing I love, you said the visuals. What was the project she did like 2 or 3 years ago? It was the full length movie. Is it? I want to say
Lemonade?
no. I think it was after that. It was like I want to say like Black is Excellence or something like that. She had the album that.
Oh yeah,
is that what it's
for
called? I might be getting.
Oh, why am I blanking?
It's driving me crazy. Can I look at our profile?
Yeah,
I
she
want to
also-
say it might not be called that, but I think it's like under the like Black Excellence was, I guess that was getting popular. Let me pull it up. I have multiple songs
Yeah,
of it on my playlist, but I cannot remember the.
because she's done a lot of live.
We'll
like,
cut this out
albums.
while I'm Googling it. I don't give
Yeah,
a
yeah.
shit. I want to know.
I know we're all.
I love that we can just Google. I love that I'm like, how tall is Shaquille O'Neal? And you're like 7. Oh, no, not the Lion King.
Mhm.
No, dude. That was it.
Lion
This
King
thing.
soundtrack.
But it was this though. It was this one.
Yeah.
Maybe the movie. There was a movie that went with it. I swear the word Black was in. But anyway, going back to the visuals of Beyonce. I saw that project. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? That movie. It was like an hour-long movie, and it was like there's different songs to it.
Yeah, she did that. She did visuals.
It was the craziest thing I've ever
For-
seen.
I think was Lemonade the first one.
That was the first one, and I didn't catch that. Like
Yeah.
I was like not in the circle. I was in the Beehive yet, if that was even around.
the Beehive.
Yeah.
No, it's been around for a while. I don't know her every single thing she's done.
Sure.
I'm just like a fan of her. But yeah, she did the visual albums for the soundtrack.
I'm not lying.
She
It was one of
did-
the coolest things I'd ever seen.
Yeah,
I wasn't even a
Homecoming.
huge fan. I was just like, it was the pandemic.
Yeah.
People were kind of sad. I was
Yeah.
kind of sad. And then this thing came out, and I'm like, let me watch it. And I think it was on Disney Plus. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, why is Beyonce on Disney Plus? And I remember I have seen that thing,
And
no
she's
lie, 10
Beyonce.
times. I've seen that thing
She's
10 times.
incredible. Yeah.
I watch it when I'm like need to feel inspired because
Yeah.
the music is just obviously amazing, but
Yeah.
the visuals that went with it,
The
I was
visuals
like,
are
I'm like, I haven't
Yeah.
even thought of it that way. And even though I'm like a writer in B2B and tech, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
go back to that and I'm like,
yeah,
it just,
because it's just like you get your creative juices flowing just by
Yeah.
watching and listening and just observing. Wow.
and her swagger just like
Just-
gives me a little more swagger. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
inspiring in that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
go ahead. Keep
But
going.
your question was about
Well, who'd you go on
like,
tour
things.
with? Was Beyonce.
Beyonce is definitely up there, but a major, just even a small indie musician, I think would be really fun.
Yeah.
Shooting the red carpet at the Grammys, the Emmys, one of those award
Yeah.
shows would be. That's been on my list. I've shot red carpets before, but something is just magical about something like that. Getting into commercial work is something that I want to try. Editorial,
Yeah.
doing more creative stuff, because a lot of the
Okay.
things I do now are events, and it can be creative too, but a lot of it's pretty straightforward.
Sure.
it's more technical than anything. Like, is the lighting good? Do we have the composition in place? So yeah, getting into more creative stuff. And I've even thought about directing.
What would you direct?
I've thought
Beyonce's
about music
video?
videos. I mean, no, not necessarily even Beyonce, but music videos,
Yeah.
even other photo shoots, just getting into the more creative side of things, being on the back end. Because I've assisted photo shoots where I saw what a director did, and I'm like, I feel like I could do that. You
You could definitely do what David's doing right now. Like,
Yeah. I could be over there, in the corner.
shout out to David. He's our
Shout out
director.
to
We love David.
David.
That would be rad. I would love that. So are you doing, and I asked like not to make you feel behind, obviously, but like
Yeah.
I asked one, because I'm curious, two, because I want you to manifest it, and like you're saying it, when
I'm
you say
saying it out loud, yeah.
I think that's powerful. And back to the putting into the universe.
I agree that saying things, also writing things down and not typing it, but actually writing
Yeah.
it in your own handwriting on
sure.
paper is really powerful as well.
Have you ever written something down and then found it like 2,
Yes.
3, 6 years later?
Yes.
Give me, what did an example pop up? I want to know, like, because I've found stuff and sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
that idea was never going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want it anymore.
Oh,
and
my
then there's
client-
other things where I'm like, oh, I fucking did
You
that.
did that,
Like,
yeah.
And I
And
did
then you
that.
go
I had a
back-
schedule. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you have you found any of that in like your old journals or
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
Can you give me an
My
example?
client list.
Client list?
Before I ever started working with Google, I wrote that on my list. A lot of clients that I put on my
Interesting.
list
I like that.
are, I've looked back and I'm like, oh, I forgot I even put them on my list. And
Yeah.
it came to fruition. So client list, making a certain amount of money has come to fruition. Making a certain amount per month. Traveling to certain places.
Yeah.
Getting paid to travel and do photography.
Yep.
I mean, that was kind of wild.
Is there something on one of those existing lists that we have not talked about yet that you want to put into the universe? Like, I don't know, launch a furniture company. Who knows? Whatever.
On an existing list, I would have to reference that list. I haven't looked at the list I'm thinking about. That I think I wrote it in 2014. I'm trying to think.
Yo, 10 year. You should review that 10-year.
Probably commercial work.
Yeah.
Getting into commercial
Like the next
photography.
level. It feels like the next like big level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the creativity, or I'll say for the financial side of it? Because what's interesting is you and both of us are on this intersection of creativity and business.
Mhm.
Because creativity to me without making money is a hobby, which is fine. I love basketball. I'm
Yeah.
not good enough at it to make money, so it's a
Yeah.
hobby. Photography, if you don't make money, is a hobby. Writing, if you don't make money, is a hobby.
Mhm.
But your living is based off this creativity, right? So
Yeah.
you're at this intersection. So is the commercial side, is it both? Is it like, I know I can make more money and be more creative, or is one I guess a stronger pull for you than the other?
I would say the creative part is a stronger
Yeah.
pull, because I feel like I've made a decent amount of money doing event photography, just finding ways of like how to make more money.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can make commercial money depending on the scope of work that I'm doing for
Right.
event photography. So it's not the money that's pulling me. It's really, it's pushing myself. It's challenging myself into a new avenue that I'm not super comfortable with. Because there's so many eyeballs, on a
Yeah.
shoot. You're shooting and you're tethering to this big screen. Everyone's looking at it, analyzing it. You have so many assistants, a lighting assistant, a photo assistant, maybe there's a video person there.
Yep.
There's so many moving pieces. And I haven't worked on a huge production like that as a main photographer. I've worked on productions as an assistant.
Okay.
But I think there's just something exciting about it being your vision and your say and you doing the thing. So
Freedom of choice.
yeah,
Freedom
I
of
think
choice.
having that freedom and also just flexing my creative skills in ways that I haven't before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is like the competitive nature with yourself, right? Can
Yeah,
Can I
is.
do it bigger and better? Can I do
Yeah.
it bigger and better?
'Cause
And
I-
like
I
impress
feel like-
yourself.
Yeah, impressing myself. Just telling myself that I can do it, because I feel like I'm pretty good at what I do with event photography. I know that I can do anything that I'm faced with, high stress situations. If there's a celebrity event, those are like usually really high stress. They're like, there's a face list and they're like, you need to get every person on this list.
Oh, really? That's how
stressful.
that works?
Sometimes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. Behind the scenes, you don't see, but we'll have a whole list. And so you're scanning the crowd for specific people.
Is there
I don't
certain
really
types of
do
shots,
events.
like any shot, or is it like
Usually they'll want,
I don't know. I
they'll
don't
want
know.
like a posed photo of them. So sometimes it can be hard.
You got to go snag them, or you're like, yeah,
Or
hey,
you're
hey.
like, usually if they have an assistant, you got to get in with the assistant. Like, hey, I'm gonna need your boss. I'm gonna need your boss.
I'm gonna need that picture.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What was the most high pressure? I don't know, high pressure, maybe just more stressful like shoot that you've done?
Most? I don't know if there's one in particular, but I'll say a category is one of those when you have a list, like I call them society events.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of corporate and tech stuff, which aren't as high pressure, but
I've been to those events. I don't think they're that high. I've been seeing the high pressure.
Unless it's like, get the founder of Google, so that, sometimes it's hard, but if it's just one person, it's usually not as challenging. But when you have a list of like 10 people on that level, it can be stressful because you're like, where are all these 10 people? And then if you need a group photo, it's like, how can I round up all these people at once? So events like that, when you have a very strict shot list and when you have a very strict turnaround, when they're like, I need them in an hour or, yeah. So that can be stressful.
I can't imagine you stressed. I can imagine you amped a little bit. Like I can imagine you blood, like the blood's moving. Yeah. Cause I'm thinking back. I think you ask anyone that knows me, they can probably within 2 seconds tell you the time I've been stressed.
Do you feel like you are externally like
I'm getting better about it.
Yeah.
I'm getting better about it. For sure.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten better at noticing that feeling and two, committing to not wanting to feel that way anymore.
Yes, that's important.
Because there's the way you feel and then there's the way, is it so overwhelming that you're expressing it and projecting it, right? Which is like, candidly, prepping for this shoot, not today, but like 2 weeks ago, didn't have the venue, still locking in people. There's all those moving parts.
I even felt pressure. I mean, when I came in, I was just like, oh, I need to go fix myself in the bathroom. Like that's my pressure. Like I kind of try to have solitude a little bit. Like I need to have a little bit of alone time before stuff like this because I need to just get it, especially if I'm being filmed. Like I need to make sure, to look okay, on camera. Sure. But also it's like, let me take some deep breaths. So even if I'm on a shoot, I will usually have to hide in the bathroom because there's no other place. And then I will stand there in the mirror and be like, I will have a pep talk with myself. And sometimes I speak out loud and I'll be like, it's okay. So I have those moments, and a lot of my stress is internal, which isn't good. Like I have a lot of anxiety. Like I'll get panicky. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And my heart is racing, but you can't see it. So
are you feeling stressed still? Are you feeling better now?
I feel better now.
Okay. Good.
I mean, I do feel a little more stressed because we are on camera.
Yeah, of course. There's like a little pressure.
It's a little, my heart's slightly elevated, but not.
Also, the strong chai that I gave you right before may or may not have
some caffeine
in that. But yeah, to your question of like showing it or not is like acknowledging it. And this super simple thing I do is like I say the word I'm feeling, and then I let that phrase finish. And it's usually stressed, scared, upset, whatever. And
but
then
you want to let it out.
But acknowledging it and going, okay, I'm really stressed. Why am I stressed right now? I'm stressed because there's too many moving parts.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I control that?
That's good to identify it.
Took me years. We know the same gal. We won't say the name of the gal. We have the same, I say a coach / therapist.
Oh my gosh. I forgot.
I've been going to her for 5 years.
I've been going to her for
maybe more.
13 years.
You gave her to me via Shali.
Yeah.
Most valuable relationship in my life, other than my wife and kids, genuinely, because she's taught me all this stuff. I used to just like literally when I was in sales, I used to be so stressed and anxious that I sweat every single night in bed. Like I would wake up in cold sweats.
Oh man.
To the point where I thought that was just
this is normal. This is real life. Yeah.
And then working through this stuff and figuring it out, I realized one, that is terrible. It's your body, it's your brain telling you something and your body's expressing it.
It's a fear response.
It's a fear response. And so now over, like I said, years, it's like
retraining your brain.
I'm feeling this way. I even called, some of the folks on this crew and the team putting the show together, and they're like, dude, none of this stress is helping anyone. Like, let the team do their stuff, and you go be creative. Go do what you need to go do. Let me be the
expert at what.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like letting go of that.
And I wanted to talk about it with you if it was accurate, like if you felt it, because I feel like a lot of people, especially in our generation, are like want, they're ambitious. They have
Yeah.
big goals, and I think it's getting more normalized to talk about. But I think that's still the like. I think the stress, being having anxiety, being insecure, and not being insecure to say you're insecure, right? Like, I respect that a lot when people are like, "Oh yeah, I spiral," or "Yeah, I was super nervous before the shoot," and I'm like, "Cool, me too," because it brings us together. And it's like more relatable. And like when you came in, I had a little sense of like a little frazzled, and so I was like, I feel like as a friend, the show aside, I feel like if I'm like, "Hey, you seem a little this," it's always to like just like I kind of see you and like it's okay. Yeah. Because I've been in that moment where I'm just so freaking stressed and I don't want anyone to know. I don't want to show it at all. And all I do is it's bad. It doesn't help anything.
Sometimes it feels really good when people say it's okay. Because I've been to jobs where I've shown up and people are like, it's fine, take a breath. Like I think they see it. So it feels good when people just acknowledge that. Like we're all having some level of stress right now.
100%.
And I think it's just part of the human experience. Like, why do we have to act like we're robots and that we're not feeling these things?
Well, that's what I feel like the like, I don't know, we've been conditioned to like not talk about it or pretend everything's fine. I don't, not to like blame social media, but you mentioned it before. It's like, well, that's curated. So it's like we acknowledge that we both have a lot of honest anxiety and uncertainties, and then yet on social media we don't want to talk about that for the most part. We intentionally are like, here's the other side, and and I think I like to explore that because I feel that both ways, where I'm like, I have a following online, I have to show up a certain way, and a big part of the way I did this show on purpose was to not continue only doing that of like the positive tactical how you got to your place. I'm like, let's have a place where people can listen and be like, oh shit, I'm stressed too. Oh, I've had moments of that too. Oh, I'm thinking of taking the leap, but I didn't know if I could. But I heard Ashley talk about it and like, it's okay. Yeah. I feel like that helps people more.
There's a relatability there
than just the how to, the 1 through 10 checklist. Like that's what
I think we're just being more real about it because people you still see online where people are just hyper curated and you're like, what, were you crying 5 minutes before this? Or, were you struggling? Were you having a terrible day screaming into a pillow? And I think I do like that. I like that we can all feel like we're human because, again, that's part of being human. And we aren't just robots that are just wired to operate.
Not feel.
Yeah, and not feel.
That's been my thing, is like running from emotions and denying them. And then like the big turnaround was like, you're not weak for feeling them. You're not weak for sharing them. And actually, though very uncomfortable and even still in that phase, life is more enjoyable. Even though there's like, it's kind of like acknowledging the ups and downs or the downs, and instead of just pretending they're not there. It's like, it's better to just acknowledge it. So appreciate you being honest with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm still working through my stuff. We're all working through something.
Oh my God. I am a constant work in progress. I don't think you ever just reach a point of, I'm good here.
The kind of last thing I wanted to chat through, you mentioned it earlier, really important to me to have multiple income streams. Mm-hmm. So you have, let me know how I did. You've got photography.
Let's see how this research went.
I'm also into the conversation, so I've had some more research through this. But you've got photography. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say influencer marketing. It looks like TikTok and Instagram. I think you've got both going. Yeah. And then you have a photo booth company. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm trailing off to make sure I'm right. Yeah. So I'm curious, one, like the photo booth company, was that like natural? Was that like, I'm looking for ways to expand, or like what's your kind of like, sounds really official. Yeah. What's your revenue stream strategy? Because it seems very cohesive and intentional.
A little bit.
But I've fallen into stuff that just feels like outsiders be like, oh, it's a master plan. I'm like, oh no, I got lucky on that day.
Oh, well, it was with a friend. So we started, we were both photographers. We wanted another revenue stream. And that was kind of when photo booths were the big thing. I mean, they still are a big thing, but companies were asking for them. And so we're like, we should just make it a thing. Yeah. We should just have it be a separate income stream for both of us. So we had a partnership. She's no longer doing photography, but so I kind of just do it on my own now. Okay. When clients ask for it, I don't really promote it as much, but I still do it. And because why am I going to turn down that income stream if people ask for it?
I'm guessing they're like, you're talking details of a contract, and they're like, by the way, do you know anyone with a photo booth?
Yeah.
I'm
guessing or they look on my website and see the link, or it's in my email signature. I have all the info there just in case they want to see it. But I have gotten work from that because they see that it's offered. Those are But those are the 3 income streams I have now. There's other ones that I plan on launching.
Talk to me. You know, I want to know.
I want to
If you're not
know.
Well, I am curious.
So
Like,
this was-
I'm trying to I'm trying to build one too. Like, once we get,
Yeah.
you know, at the time of recording, we're locking in sponsors for this show. Like, that's another
Yeah.
income
Oh,
stream.
that's
So
great.
I'm trying to learn from you, and I want
Yeah.
advice for, you know, from what
Yeah.
you've learned. So what's next?
What's
if you don't
another
mind
thing
sharing.
that I want to do?
We're manifesting. We're not bragging. We're
Yeah.
not, you know, we're not jinxing. We're just putting it into
Yeah.
the universe.
And this is something that's like pretty doable for me, and it makes sense. But just selling prints.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So this was something I was going to start during the pandemic, but I was also going through a very deep depression during the pandemic, so I didn't get it launched. But the big thing for me was selling prints is just deciding which images to choose to sell. But yeah, people have asked me for prints, and it's been interesting because I'm like, what would it be? But a lot of travel stuff. I have some really great landscape stuff from traveling and, you know, even portraits on my travels and live music. That's a huge thing. I want to do a coffee table book with my live music photography, because I've been doing live music since 2009, maybe. So
you got to archive.
I have an
archive. The world needs the archive.
I have an archive of live music.
When's the like? I know I'm you know what I'm gonna ask.
What?
When?
What am I gonna do?
When do I get a print? I want to put it in the reader office.
Oh,
I've got
man.
space. I got coffee table space, and I've got one for the print.
I actually had, I don't know why I just forgot this, but I did do a series of prints. I actually had a show. I had an art show back in 2011, but I was working with a creative director, and then we kind of fell out. We're cool now, but we were gonna take these prints that we did on tour, and it just didn't work out. But I've thought about bringing that back.
Okay.
There's a project called Lip Shits, and they're really close-up images of lips. And I have friends that
I love that.
that have purchased them. So I have sold
Yeah.
prints, but it was just of that project. And I think I kind of pigeonholed myself by thinking, oh, you know, I don't have any other fine art, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be fine art.
Yeah. Well, the thing I
can
like
just
too is
be
like, this is stuff
stuff.
people are asking you about.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you have this inbound, people want it.
Have the inbound inquiry.
And this isn't to be like, dude, go do it. It's like
yeah, there's something there.
There's something there. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I want to get your advice, like for folks maybe watching, listening, getting more revenue streams is something I think it's like a new idea for like kind of our generation.
Yeah.
Before they're just, I don't know, they didn't really call it that if you had 2 jobs, but again, most people had one job. So the advice I'm hearing is like, find your inbound. Like, what are people, there's like,
What
are
is
people
there a
asking
need for? Yeah, what are people
that you already
asking for?
have? You're not built, you're not like, I'm going to do,
Yeah.
I joked with furniture because there's a couch behind you, but like, you know, you're not like, I really love, you know, furniture design. I'm going to go launch that. That'd be a brand new business. You have no install base. You don't have any audience in that way. So what other advice would you have maybe for your younger self or for like people listening who are like, I want to get that second revenue stream or that 5th one?
What do you like to do? What would make it easy?
Yeah.
Not something challenging, not picking up a new skill unless you want to, but what comes easy to you? And I think for me, that's why social media felt natural, because I was already posting online. I was already getting people asking questions or engaging with my content. And so for me, I felt like, why wouldn't I monetize this?
Right.
Because I'm already building an audience. I'm already building a community that I love talking to. We have great conversations. So why would I not now include brands in this conversation? And yeah, it just felt really natural. So for me, it's things that I'm interested in. I think there's some other things down the line which may or may not pop off. I don't want to jinx it. There is something exciting. There is something exciting coming up in February.
Okay. That's tomorrow, by the way, at time of shooting.
I know,
So we're
end of February.
Okay, I want to know what it is. When it's live, you got to holler at me so I can support,
I'll let you know.
Buy, purchase, attend, whatever it is. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. So it could be potentially life-changing. And
I'm excited.
I know. I haven't really spoken about it, and I feel like I'm even like saying too much, but there was an opportunity that was presented last year that is finally coming to fruition this year.
Ooh. That's, it's a big one when it's like, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Kinda, I bet you there's a time.
There's been a lot of conversations, a lot of planning,
kind of fell through for a minute, but came back. That's usually the case with the big ones where it's like, oh, and then it fizzled and then it came back. And
not completely fizzled, but it's changed a little bit. It's changed a little bit. Yeah. That's been exciting. I I don't think I shared with you guys, like with my friend group, but I filmed a mini documentary / commercial with Delta last year.
No, what? Is it out or is it still in post?
Yeah, it's out. So I
gotta share it.
I need to promote it more. I posted in my Instagram stories, which it went crazy. People were like, "Oh
Of
my God,
course.
post this in your feed." And I haven't posted it in feed, but I was reached out through Instagram. This woman just found me because she was looking for San Francisco creators. But they actually featured me as a photographer. And so,
cool.
yeah, it was a partnership with Atlas Obscura, which I don't know if you've ever heard of, but
I'm
it's
sure.
this company that really looks at obscure things about travel.
Okay.
So like in San Francisco, it's like, I don't know, did you know about this 100-year-old sourdough shop or something,
Okay.
that most people
Like history kind of stuff.
kind of like
yeah, some
history
stories.
or just, things you wouldn't know just by Googling,
Yeah.
things to do in San Francisco. So yeah, I did a feature with them and
That's
it
rad.
was, yeah. So you can find it when you're, it's funny how you find it, but when you sign on to the Wi-Fi on Delta, it'll take you to the Atlas Obscura page and you can scroll down and look at, there's 12 destinations and it's like San Francisco, LA, Salt Lake City, Atlanta. There's a few
gotta
other
find
cities,
it.
but I'm the San Francisco
I love
person.
that.
I'll send it to you.
Next time I fly out and then I fly back, I'm gonna find the Delta flight. I don't care.
I mean, I can send it to you. It's on YouTube.
I know, but I kind of want to experience
You
it
wanna
like,
experience, like,
a
there's my
normal
friend.
person. Like, like I didn't know you.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
that
That's
was
so cool.
that was my first time. I mean, that was kind of like a commercial, and that was the first time, and so that feels exciting because I'm like,
Hell yeah.
are there going to be opportunities like this?
Right on.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
also, I forgot.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really been active, but I am signed with an agency here, a talent and modeling agency. So I'm hoping to do stuff this year.
Nice.
I need to update my portfolio. My agent's always like,
Well, you know a photographer, so you could just go take some.
I know. And that's the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, a photographer that has
We
terrible
got at
headshots.
least one more revenue stream coming this year. It
Yeah.
sounds like maybe 3.
Yeah, 1 to 3.
Doubling from 1 to 3. From 1 to,
From
I would say you have
3.
3 right now.
Yeah.
From 3 to 4, maybe 6.
But what does the average millionaire have? Like 7 income streams?
I'm not
We
there.
gotta
yet.
we gotta step it up.
Let's find.
We
We got to fact check that and find out so we can
we
get
have
our
to
way
have
there.
a lot of revenue streams.
A lot of revenue streams.
Yeah.
I want to dive into one more thing, which is how are you getting these deals? Because I was scrolling, a couple brands I recognized like Ray-Ban, and I went, motherfucker, she got Ray-Ban like these sunglasses,
Ray-Ban?
and then some other brands. I clicked
Yeah.
your link. You got Ease. I see. I
Yeah.
don't know if you paid for Ease or some CBD branding happening.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
like,
worked with a lot of cannabis brands because
So-
a lot of content creators wouldn't. So they were
Mm.
like, "Oh, you're one of the only ones that will." This was years ago. Now a lot of people
Yeah.
are, but
well, it's more legal.
now it's not as
more
scary,
accepted.
but
Yeah.
more brand safe.
So are you? And I'm getting interested, selfishly because I'm trying to get these brand deals.
Like, tell me.
Trying to get these brand. Did you? It sounds like it started inbound, and again, we talked about like
Mhm.
reputation, people talking,
Yeah.
you getting connected. But are you like? You can use Ray-Ban as an example, but are you? Do you have a list, and you're like, I'm trying to hit these people up and get connected, or are you just like,
Yeah.
I'm doing my thing, and I get inbounds, and I'm just like living
Yeah.
that life? How are you getting the deals?
Honestly, I'm kind of lazy with it. So it's mostly inbound. So I've signed up on some creator platforms and it's cool because they can search by demographic, certain age
Mm.
range, woman living in this city.
Interesting.
And so that's how I got the Ray-Ban one, was from one of these agencies
Wow.
that found me on their database essentially. So when you
cool.
sign up on these platforms, and it's not a secret, this is how I first signed up. That's how I got my first.
I'm not on any of
campaign
this, so
with
I'm like
Pinnacle.
getting put up on game right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just checked my LinkedIn DMs. I'm like, hope there's something
Check
good. What are
check
the one
the
of the
DMs.
platforms, if you don't mind sharing?
So there's a few ones. I think the first one is called Obviously Social. They're based in New York. I think they have an office, or they have a few people in the Bay. What's another one? FOHR was a really big one back in the day. They still do campaigns. I've still done campaigns with them. What is another one? CIPIO was one that I've gotten inbound stuff from.
What is the?
Just random, like if you just type in influencer platforms or influencer
I've heard of a couple. I've heard of
agencies.
Impact. I haven't been
Yeah,
on
Aspire
Impact.
IQ is based
I've heard
here.
that one. Yeah, I've heard of that
Yeah, so there's a few that you just sign up, put your information on. Some of them have a minimum follower count of, usually it's like 5,000. So it's not
You don't need to be big
huge.
time, and you can just have.
Yeah,
a little
you
stuff.
could be a nano influencer, which are actually killing the game.
What does it pay?
But-
What does it pay for like Ray-Ban? I gotta ask. You don't have to tell me, but I'm gonna ask it. Like, are we
You don't
talking?
tell me what I'm gonna ask.
I mean, is it free? I mean, for real, pending the timing, it could be like, and I say timing in terms of like the
Yeah.
creator economy and influencer marketing
Yeah.
being more of a thing. Shit, I mean, there would be a time where you kick me a free pair of sunglasses. I'm like,
yeah,
you
you're
gotta
like, yeah.
post.
That's what I'm saying. I was
But-
excited about my first Uniqlo.
Yeah,
thing.
so that's what I'm saying. $50 for the
$50.
gray pants that made it to
Gray
Abu Dhabi.
pants, yeah.
What is Ray-Ban paying you? What is an average deal size? Like we talking $100, $1,000 more?
So they didn't fully pay me my rate that I wanted, but I negotiated another pair of glasses with prescription because prescription costs extra. So I negotiated 2 pairs of glasses and a paid deal because sometimes there'll be a set amount for every creator, which is interesting because we have different audience sizes, engagement rates, whatever
levels. Yeah,
But I also think it can be a little fair that way if it's a smaller campaign, because people can inflate their numbers. People can buy followers and likes,
True.
and there's these vanity metrics that kind of don't mean anything. So I think it's a little bit harder now. You have to look, are people's comments real? Are people's likes real?
Wow.
Are they just Russian bots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Instagram, you're talking about Instagram
On
specifically or
Instagram
TikTok?
specifically.
Yeah, Instagram.
I mean, TikTok too. I haven't looked. I mostly monetize on Instagram.
Okay.
But yeah, I've looked at people's pages where I'm like, none of these comments are real. Yeah.
That hasn't happened to LinkedIn yet. I'll have to keep an eye out. But I do know actually,
LinkedIn.
but I have caught wind, and I will not name who it is, but a very well-known marketer who I have
On
found
LinkedIn?
out for sure, yes, who has a media company, and I'm like, the growth is so
Oh.
crazy, and I'm not like,
Yeah.
look, I've had some success on the platform. I know what's
Mhm.
like reasonable, and it was
Yeah.
so crazy, the growth, and I was like, something weird's going on, and then like do some not even me back channeling
Through
someone.
the grapevine.
Hey, back to what do people say about you when you're not in the room?
They were
Someone
talking.
someone said Click Farm. This guy's got a Click Farm in like India or something,
Mm.
and he's just like, none of that
Those
stuff's
are
real,
horrible.
and he's making a ton of money on it. And so I'm like, not good for you because I hate that, but it's the lying that I don't, obviously. But I'm like, one day that's gonna pop, and
Yeah.
the reputation you think you have is gonna be gone. And so, anyway, it is
Yeah.
out there. It's happening.
It is happening.
I
So-
appreciate you putting me up on game on all this.
Yeah,
I respect you a
for
lot.
sure. And I
You're
can
less of a
send you
mystery now in a
list.
good way, but
Yeah.
but you're still a world within a world, so I like that.
You got to keep a little mystery to yourself. You can't let everybody know what moves you're making.
I agree with that. Real ninjas move in silence,
That's right.
and a little mystery goes a long way, especially in today. The internet. With the internet, everyone knows everything.
Because
You think
everyone thinks they know you, and everyone feels like they're entitled to you, and I don't like that.
That's just me catching my breath. I appreciate you. I appreciate you joining the show as always.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for putting us up on game. Thank you for sharing the vulnerable side of being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and I truly enjoyed it. I hope you did too.
I really did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
After every conversation, I reflect on my guest's advice and decide how I'm going to put it into action to grow my career, brand, and business. Ashley is a whole vibe, and I love that about her. It gives me the confidence and inspiration to trust myself, follow my vision, and keep pushing, especially when the stakes are high and my back's against the wall. Here are my favorite takeaways from Ashley. Number 1, if you want to become an entrepreneur, reduce the risk by starting your side hustle now and build a sustainable business before leaving your 9-to-5. Number 2, the best way to create a new revenue stream is to follow your current demand. Listen to your audience and deliver what they're asking for instead of guessing, winging it, or starting from scratch. This will improve your odds of success. And number 3, the best way to get clients is to build your reputation. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. Protect and build it at all costs. Deliver great results every single time, and your clients will sell for you. And it's way easier than relying on cold outbound to land new clients.
All right, if you're still listening, you must really crave growth, and I respect that. And you don't have to wait until next week's episode for more marketing advice. There are 3 ways I can help you scale your content right now. Every Saturday morning, I publish a newsletter where you'll get content tips and strategies for growing your career, brand, and business. Subscribe now to join thousands of readers. Just tap the link in the show notes. My ebook, Content That Converts, shows you how to confidently grow your reach and audience. This expansive digital playbook, packed with tips, techniques, and examples, reveals the exact strategies and step-by-step processes for converting attention into audience growth and sales. To buy your copy, hit the link in the show notes. You're seeing a pattern. And if you'd like to sponsor this show or partner with The Reader, email me at yo@thereader.co. Yes, that's yo@thereader.co. That's a wrap for now. And if you like the show, go ahead and give us that 5-star rating on Apple. It helps us grow.